so much available for you. So dial star 550 hash and get your reward today. Let's go. Everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
Good afternoon, Ghana. It's 12 o'clock. Time to reach for mobile water. Mobile water, unique in every way.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We are on Love 99.5 FM. We are on myjoyonline.com. We are live in all 16 regions of Ghana. We are on Jubilee FM in Keta, Buipe FM in Buipe, ATL FM in Cape Coast. We're live on X Spaces. We're on Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrol Sol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrol Sol is always a delightful experience. This afternoon, Minority Leader Kaisel Atuforsen and Richard Jakba are free men after the Court of Appeal upheld their submission of no case in the 2.4 million euro ambulance procurement trial, overturning an earlier decision by the High Court. We'll hear from lawyer for the Minority Leader.
I want to thank the Almighty God for snatching my client from the jaws of prosecution and to thank the distinguished judges.
What happened to the ongoing ambulance procurement trial? We're live in court. Is it technically over? Also, still on ambulance issues, we'll be hearing from the CEO who is asking us to stop politicizing the National Ambulance Service and that it is eroding public trust in them. Also this afternoon, sounds of chaos at an appointments committee meeting today, set to vet two persons nominated by the president to the Supreme Court, with the NDC describing the bearing as illegal.
Yes. No, look. Why are you?
I'll take you live to Parliament for details of the proceedings. Also, this afternoon, Education Minister shares pride in 1.4 million students enrolled in free senior high school as he touts achievement chalked in the education sector.
We have done a fantastic job in terms of the number of students who are enrolled in secondary schools. In 2016, a little over 800,000 students were enrolled in senior high schools. Today, it's 1.4 million plus.
We have details of that also in sports.
This was a learning experience. Harry Stacey describes his Olympic debut after finishing fourth in Heat 7.
We have details of that and more here on the Midday News. Please do stay with me. I am Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for your company. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. And this afternoon, the Court of Appeal has discharged the Minority Leader, Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen, from the ongoing ambulance procurement trial. The Minority Leader, together with Richard Jakba, who is a representative for a private firm, Big C, have been accused of causing financial loss of 2.4 million euros to the state in a deal to purchase 200 ambulances from the country between 2014 and 2016. However, this morning's decision overturned the previous order from the trial judge, Justice Efiase Wasariboche, which had dismissed Atuforsen's submission of no case. Well, Dr. Atuforsen had argued that there was no case for him to answer, but this submission was initially rejected by the trial judge. Let me take you live to the court. But before then, we can hear the reaction of the Minority Leader to this decision by the appeals court.
Honorable Leader, yesterday I said something, and today I will refer you as my former friend, because I'm honestly appalled. I'm appalled. You have broken the trust of the NDC Minority Caucus, and you have committed a number of sins, and I will tell you the sins that you have committed. Your first sin, You unilaterally wrote a letter to the nominees.
Well, we'll get details of that. That's Atufos in there speaking during the vetting, the chaos that characterized the vetting of two nominees to the Supreme Court. We'll get details of that. But my colleague Latif Idris is standing by in the court with all the details as it unfolds in the court. First from the Court of Appeal, now to the High Court. What exactly technically happens to the procurement trial? Latif, what's the update you're getting after this decision by the Court of Appeal?
Yes, so Emefa, it was a majority decision. A 3-member panel at the Court of Appeal today came out with that particular ruling, 2-1 in favor of Dr. Keisela Tuforsin and Richard Japa, both of whom have been acquitted and discharged following the High Court's ruling that they have a case to answer in 2.37 million euros financial loss to the state. Today, that has all ended, and the High Court, which was expected to sit on that particular case for today's hearing, did not sit on that particular case. I have here with me the third accused in the ongoing, or we must say the trial for causing financial loss. Richard Japa is here with me. Just a quick one with you, Mr. Japa. What do you make of this particular ruling by the Court of Appeal?
Well, as I earlier said, this ruling is a victory for all democracy-loving Ghanaians and those who hold fidelity to the rule of law, to the law. So it's a victory for all Ghanaians. It's not a victory for me alone. And for all those who were praying and they saw that we needed integrity in this country and they wanted that protected. And so it's a victory for everyone.
When I spoke with you during one of your interviews here at the court complex, you mentioned that the judge was treating you like a convict who is only going through the motion, and then at the end of the day, you're going to be thrown into jail. Do you regret that statement now that the case has been, taken off by the Court of Appeal?
Not at all. I stand by it because it's a fact. It was very obvious and clear. And the justice that I got with all Ghanaians supporting it, I got it from the Court of Appeal and not from the High Court. The High Court, if you realize, where we sat yesterday and were to sit today, Tuesday, and were to sit Wednesday. So you could see that she's in a hurry to finish this case before the election. So I didn't get my justice through the High Court or through Justice Sewa's. No, it's from the Appeal Court, where there are men of integrity who look at the evidence as it is. And then they granted me my freedom. I got justice from the Court of Appeal.
So you were in a hurry to pick your passport here at the High Court. Are you planning to leave the country following all the hearing and all that has gone on? Is that the intention that you have right now?
Oh, not at all. I'm going nowhere. If I'm traveling, it's purely to go and get my international business partners and try to see how I can get things back on track.
How has that affected your business in any way?
Oh, down to the ground. No, down to the ground, completely down to the ground. So I have a lot of work to do now.
You know the AG has the prosecution, they could also go to the Supreme Court and also go for review if it goes against them. Is this something you are looking forward to? Are you prepared for that?
More than prepared. I'm always ready. If the Attorney General wants to go to a court or go to the Supreme Court to appeal against the ruling, I'll meet him there. Even if he doesn't win there, he wants to go for review, I'll meet him there. Wherever he wants to go, I'll meet him there. So I don't have an issue at all. I'm really ready for this government. I'm ready for that.
So, that's Richard Japa. He was the third accused in the ambulance procurement trial, which, based on the ruling by the Court of Appeal, the 2-3 majority decision, based on that ruling by the Court of Appeal, the case has ended here at the High Court complex. Emefa.
Thank you very much. That's Latif Idris giving us update, and thankfully he caught up with the third accused, Richard Jakpa, also there reacting to this particular decision from the Court of Appeal. And my colleague Benjamin Akakbo joins me in studio. We're getting a statement from the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice Office. And what does it say? Give us updates of it.
Well, it's dated today, of course, and it says to all press houses, press release, Republic versus Cassio Atoforsen and 2 others. So it says, on the 30th of July 2024, the Court of Appeal, by a split 2-1 decision, allowed an appeal against the ruling of the High Court, Accra, dated 30th March 2024, I think, dismissing a submission of no case filed by the accused persons and ordering them to open their defense. So it talks about 2023. Then, the Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal to be perverse. That's the wording. To be perverse in the quest for public accountability and the rule of law. The decision clearly is heavily against the weight of the cogent advice led by the prosecution in substantiation of all the charges against the accused persons at the trial. The relevant facts of the matter, then it goes out to mention them. But at the bottom of it, when you look at point 4, it says, the Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal grossly unfair to the nation and inimical to the fight against impunity and abuse in public office.
Benjamin,
the office
let me come in quickly on this as you conclude on that particular statement. Thankfully, the Minister, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice himself, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, joins us on the line. Let's get some update. Let's hear from the horse's own mouth. Out to you, say. And thank you very much for your time here on the Midday News, Mr. Dame. So, reading portions of your statement, at least, you're saying that this particular decision of the Court of Appeal is grossly unfair to the nation and inimical to the fight against impunity. And you add that abuse in public office. Why so?
Well, I think that first and foremost, I'm not the only one who was surprised by this ruling. I'm sure the entire nation is surprised because indeed the public has been following the trial and the evidence led by the prosecution. It is not in doubt at all whatsoever that there has been financial loss in this matter established. It's a case where vehicles purporting to be ambulances were imported into the country in December 2014. Indeed, they were bereft of any equipment or parts that would render them to be used as ambulances. Apart from that, there were serious material defects with every part of the vehicle. Indeed, the specification of the vehicle was wrong. The kind of vehicles that were supposed to supply in the contract were not what was supplied. That is not in doubt, and it is a matter on record. There's also a report that was obtained by the Minister of Health in 2015 when the NDC was in power, which stated categorically that the vehicles could never be converted into ambulances. So clearly, the vehicles are of no use to the nation, so financial loss has been established. Now, the only issue then left is the link between the accused persons and the offense. And it's again a matter of record that the former Minister for Health, who was in office at the time that the transaction was brought into being by the act of Dr. Atoforsen, had actually written to the company which supplied the ambulances, not to supply the ambulances, not supply the vehicles at all. So Madame Seriaiti had written a letter cautioning against the transaction, and by that time, the transaction had even lapsed. The vehicles were supposed to supply it within 11 months. By that time, the 11 months had long elapsed. The vehicles were supposed to supply it by December or November 2013.
Well,
the contract was signed in December 2012.
Yeah.
Now, in August 2014, Dr. Atoforsen, without any request whatsoever from Minister of Health, then wrote for the Bank of Ghana to establish this of credit.
But
and it was after that the vehicles were imported.
For the sake of time, yes.
Now, so if evidence has been laid, all the court is supposed to look at that stage is whether the necessary ingredients of the offense have been established. And indeed, the necessary ingredients of the offense have been established. The trial court had held so way back over a year ago. The trial has since proceeded, and we have gone ahead to lead even further evidence to show connection between the accused persons and the offense.
But all these facts, Mr. Attorney General, all these facts were before the Court of Appeal, yet they took a decision that there's no case against these two persons, and you still insist that it was a wrong decision by the Court of Appeal. What would you do about it?
Precisely. I mean, so I'm a firm believer in the rule of law. I'm an adherent to the rule of law, and clearly I will appeal against the decision. This was the first time that a decision adverse to the prosecution has been given by a court. Remember when there was an order after we had led so much evidence against Dr. Opini, the High Court actually ordered that we should commence de novo. What did I do? I filed an appeal to the Court of Appeal, and I was able to sustain the appeal. And so I think that is what we've done promptly in this matter. We'll file an appeal to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to give a definitive view on the matter. And I think that clearly this decision by the Court of Appeal is wrong, is unfair to the nation, and must not be allowed to stand. If indeed it stands, it will set a very dangerous precedent for the nation. It goes against the grain of all the authorities on causing financial loss in the country. And in my respectful view, there is no case in which financial loss has been more clearly established than this one. The financial loss established, and also as a result of the acts of the accused person here, is so clear. You find an accused person who even profited 700,000 euros out of the 2.3 million euros that was paid for the ambulances. I mean, I think that this is so offensive to the rule of law, and indeed, the decision must not be allowed to stand.
Well, it's surprising that you mentioned from the beginning that this decision actually came as a surprise to you and to Ghanaians. You're saying that you were not aware at all about this decision that was going to be taken today, at least by the Court of Appeal.
No, that's not the point I'm making. I'm saying that the effect of the decision, clearly, I mean, it's shocking. It's shocking because it goes against the grain of all the authorities on financial loss. It goes against the law, as we know it in the country, and clearly is a case where financial loss has been established. It's not in doubt. It's a case where the acts of the accused persons were the ones which directly caused the financial loss. Without it, there's no record at all in this matter of the Minister of Health requesting for the letter of credit to be established by the Minister of Finance. Indeed, the Deputy Minister of Finance then, Dr. Atuforsen, on his own, wrote for the letters of credit to be established. And the LCs were not established for nothing. They were the means by which the vehicles were paid for. The letters of credit were the means by which the vehicles were paid for. And so if they were established contrary to the agreement, if they are established in favor of a company whose agreement did not even have parliamentary approval, every aspect of this matter is bad. The company itself, the agreement itself, it's an transfer business agreement. It never went to parliament. So to start with, and then the vehicles that were supplied, contrary to the specification under the contract, they're not the ones specified under the contract. The vehicles were bereft of any equipment at all. From 2014, when the vehicles arrived in the country, up to 2017, when the NDC left office, they could not even convert the vehicles into ambulances. And why was that so? Because of the report by the authorized dealers in Mercedes-Benz that the vehicles could never be converted into ambulances. And so I think that as the Attorney General, it is nothing personal. It is a case where I seek to uphold the rule of law, and indeed we have to test the soundness of this decision, and I have no doubt at all that the decision was most unsound and bad.
So safe to say that at least you are heading to the Supreme Court as we speak?
Yes, definitely.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Well, looking at the case in itself, just before you go though, technically it means that this whole ambulance procurement trial is over. Hello, Mr. Dami.
No, I mean, so as I said, there's always an opportunity of an appeal, and we're going to explore that.
But until then, we can safely say.
For now, it means that the trial is suspended for now. But if the Supreme Court makes a determination that indeed the decision of the Court of Appeal was wrong, it will lead to a continuation of the trial from where we left off.
But looking at the trial itself and some of the issues that came up, Mr. Dami, at least the issue about the plea bargaining, the amount that Big C wanted to pay in all this, looking back in hindsight, you think we should have taken that money? At least we were trying them for causing financial loss of the state. We had the opportunity to take some money, but yet we did not. Looking back on that.
It is not as simple as that. Again, everything must be done within the confines of the law. If a party, which is not a party to the proceedings, offers to pay money and for the accused person to let off, what will be the position in which I find myself? That yes, I've agreed to the matter to be discontinued because somebody sitting somewhere has offered to pay some money. I mean, I think that even the public would have raised further questions against me, against my integrity and all that. And my integrity is what matters in the process.
Okay. And
indeed, it's a matter of record that the accused persons were interested in it. So why would the accused persons themselves openly and freely come forward and make a plea bargaining proposal and rather hide behind third parties? But
to the layperson, but to the layperson, the ordinary person would say we could have still taken the money and still go on with the trial, but we chose not to.
Yes. No. So the trial can proceed. No. See, so the basis of the proposal by the accused persons was that I should listen to some third parties
and truncate the trial. So indeed, the two could never have been compatible within the circumstances in which we find ourselves.
Well, but what would you say finally to persons who would say that Godfred Dame, as the Attorney General, is emotionally attached to this particular case?
And how is that so? How would I be emotionally attached to the matter? Never at all. Otherwise, there cannot be any prosecution for financial loss in the country. I think that all cases are prosecuted at the instance of the Attorney General. The Attorney General is responsible for every prosecution in the country. And so there cannot be a question of the Attorney General being emotionally involved or connected to any matter at all. It's a case where I think that the public accountability must reign, and the quest of public accountability in the country must prevail. I think the situation where some people, with all respect, find or consider themselves to be above the law, above the rule of law, must not happen. The rule of law implies that everyone is underneath the law. We are all below the law, and we're all supposed to observe the law. No particular person or group of persons can be above the law. A trial is a trial. The ingredients of an offense for stealing is the same, whether committed by a person highly placed in society or by the lowest ranked member in society. It's the same. I mean, financial laws. And indeed, the essence of these financial laws cases is to check public accountability in office, is to ensure that public accountability is upheld. And so there must be a full opportunity for the state to conduct its case when it comes to financial loss cases, because it has far-reaching implications for the public purse. Apart from the public purse, has far-reaching implications for the way we conduct ourselves in public life. It has an effect on checking impunity in public life. And I think if you look at facts of this case, where a deputy minister can, with all respect, authorize a transaction, there's no basis at all, there's no request for the beneficiary ministry whatsoever, and indeed the purpose of the transaction turns out to be of no effect because the vehicles that were supplied were not one specified in the contract, were not fit for purpose, were described in the words of Dr. Sebefia, who was a minister for health. Ordinary vans, which could never be used. And over 2 years while the NDC was in office, they could never convert it into ambulances. And there was also a technical report on it showing that they could never be converted into ambulances. I think that if the nation indeed would desire for its money to be, with all respect, thrown away in this manner, so be it. But I think there was accountability in public life.
We're grateful. That's Godfred Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. After that statement also, and he's been speaking to us about it. At least he's been mentioning that the decision of the Court of Appeal is grossly unfair to the nation and inimical to the fight against impunity and abuse in public office. Let's bring in the lawyer for the minority leader, Edwigi Tamaklo. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. You've been listening to the Attorney General, but before you give me that reaction, I'm sure you saw this coming, or you were surprised as well by the Court of Appeal's decision.
Today, what I saw is a group of courageous judges who decided to hold fidelity to the law. We are exceedingly grateful to my lords at the Court of Appeal. Look, I cannot thank them enough. And we want to appreciate the Almighty God for taking us away from Godfred Dame's conspiracy. I have never in my life seen an Attorney General who is emotionally attached, who has thrown professionalism to the dogs. I have never look, in my young age.
How has he thrown professionalism to the dogs?
Please, I'm coming.
You have to answer that, please.
Yes, I'm dealing with that. In my young age, I've seen Obeda Samoa. I saw Nanado. I saw Papa Wuzwankoma. I saw my own company law lecturer, Joe Gatti. I saw Marietta. I saw Martin Amidu. I have never seen this level of emotionally unintelligence associated with the conduct of a criminal case like this. But you see, I am not surprised at all. I am not surprised. And I've been listening to him whilst he was talking. Look, if Godfred has any scintilla of shame left in him, any scintilla of shame.
Eduji, I would rather you actually deal with the case, the issues that have come up, at least in his decision or the concern that Attorney General raises. At least he says that this particular decision of the Court of Appeal, for him, it's unfair and that it will be inimical to the fight itself against impunity and abuse in public office in general. These are issues that we should be speaking to.
Do you know what he's insinuating?
What?
Do you know what he's insinuating? There's a judgment of a court. If you disagree, what you do is that you file your appeal and go to court and argue the rest. Now, to insinuate that the decision undermines the fight against corruption, you, the one that were coaching an accused person to undermine the court process, you heard what the trial judge said in her ruling on the mistrial. And instead of this Attorney General apologizing to the good people of Ghana, he's out there ranting. Whatever he wants to do, let him go ahead and do it. We are ready. Look, what Godfred Dame doesn't know, that Kaysel Atuforsen is not a coward. He's not a coward. He is not. He is willing to stand up to anything. Nobody is afraid of Godfred Dame's treachery. Nobody is afraid of his treachery. He has forgotten that.
Energy, so he tells us that he's going to the Supreme Court. You are ready to meet him there.
The House of Justice Yoni Kulendi. Has he forgotten? Has he forgotten that he was in the House of Justice Yoni Kulendi conspiring how to get Atuforsen convicted? He should wait. Vengeance is the Lord's.
You're ready. We are ready for the next step, as he says he heads to the Supreme Court on this matter.
Look, I don't even care what you want. Let Godfred know that political power is nothing. Political power is nothing. In fact, he can go where that he wants to go. One day. I say no more.
We are grateful. And that's Godwin Eduji Tamaklo, there, his lawyer for Minority Leader Kaysel Atuforsen. And as we speak, the Appointments Committee are meeting. The Minority Leader is there, and there was some chaos at some point to vet two persons nominated to the Supreme Court by President Akufo-Addo. The two, Justice Sophia Rosetta Benasco Essa and Professor Richard Frimpong-Opong, were said to be vetted today by the minority, who chanced on the meeting, described the hearing at a clandestine meeting organized on the blind side of the minority as unnecessary. And we can listen to Minority Chief Whip Kwame Governance Agboja. But let me take you live to Parliament, and Kweku Asante joins us on the line. Kweku, what exactly happened?
Well, so what we understand from the minority is that this was what they call a clandestine meeting at the behest of the majority leadership to approve these two nominees at their blind side. They had always insisted that they needed time to be able to take these two new justices nominees through the due process of parliamentary process before they are vetted. But only for them to hear that the first deputy speaker, who is not around, has instructed his deputy on the appointment committee, that is Patricia PJ, to organize a public hearing to vet these nominees. And that hearing was ongoing on the 6th floor at Honorable Abib's office. So they had to storm there together with the other members of the committee, the minorities themselves, and Governance Kwame Agboja. They stormed there, leading to chaos even, where all of them were speaking on top of their voices into the microphone, saying that they were not going to allow the vetting go on. In fact, at some point, the deputy majority leader and the deputy chair of the appointment committee wanted to suspend sitting. They said no, they were not going to allow that. All they wanted to hear was that vetting has been suspended until leadership on both sides conclusively agree on the modalities for this vetting. So we know now the vetting has been suspended, no decision taken. The two justices nominees have not been put before the committee for the hearing to take place because the minority leadership simply will not allow that vetting go on.
Have we had an official reaction, though, from Dr. Kaysel Atuforsen himself after the Court of Appeal decision today?
Well, I did try to talk to him right after this committee hearing. He had also been to court and had come to Parliament. He said he was going to see the Speaker. They had some conversations that they were going to talk about before he will officially speak. but already he has made a post on social media, quoting Bibles and extolling God for taking him out of this trouble. That is the sense that we are getting, that he's very, very grateful. But officially, he's yet to speak to the media publicly, and we understand in the course of today, he will definitely speak to the media.
That's my colleague Kwekwa Sante there giving us updates from Parliament, also following this particular decision by the Court of Appeal. Well, in the court in Kumasi, the High Court there has also dismissed the application for an interlocutory injunction seeking to thwart the 10-year extension of the Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Clement Kufio Sari, filed the application to prevent the second-term appointment of Professor Mrs. Rita Akusia Dixon, which effectively commences on August 1, 2024. We have updates of that and more subsequently. Let me bring in Mutal briefly. What's happening in the world of sports?
In the world of sports, Ghana got into the pool today as the country began its journey in the Olympic Games. It was Harris Tessie who was in the pool, and he took part in heat 4 and finished 7th after the heat. He says he's disappointed.
It wasn't my best. Normally I'm first to 15 meters or second, and then also first to the turn. And this time around, I think I was around 4th. So my first 50 wasn't my best. But the second 50 coming back, I did what I normally do. So I'm not too mad at the performance, but wasn't my best showing. So building blocks for the future.
He's not too mad about what happened. He's hoping for a bright future.
We see how that goes. Well, let's talk about what people are saying on social media. M and J.
Yeah.
Yes, M is back in the J. What's up? What are people saying?
Atuforsen is trending. He just quoted
reverse
from the Bible. Yeah.
Yes,
Reverend Castle Atuforsen.
Yes, and it says that Romans 9:14. What then shall we say? Is God unjust? Not at all.
And we have some comments. This one here coming from Awakened Conscience. It says, Godfred Dammit did not only lose the case, he also lost his reputation as well. Atuforsen, on the other hand, has gained a positive public recognition he did not have. This is how the Lord turns your enemies' plans into victory for you. This one also from the Greenblatt. He says, the minority leader Kasila Atuforsen acquitted and discharged. God willing, next year we await the prosecution of the real ambulance criminals.
Oh yeah, it looks like social media is just doing its own analysis of the issue.
Well, we'll get
a lot of that in favor of the minority leader.
On the biblical notes, though, we have Living Word with Pastor Ben Salterbill coming up. We know Greater Works has started. It's day 2 for Greater Works, episode 1 of God. I am Emefa Apawu. Many thanks for your company. Have a good afternoon.